Hey guys, welcome to Social Media Week. I am super excited for this group and I cannot wait to pass on to you all of the tips and tricks and everything that I've learned through other coaches and through my own experience as a coach so that you can effectively reach and help more people. So I want to just start out by saying that I know you've all heard this. We say post 3 to 5 times a day on your social media every single day. And there is a reason why. Now, first of all, when you do that, you're probably going to hear crickets when you start, okay? And I want you to know that that is perfectly normal, and it happens to everyone, right? So I don't want you to get to like day 3 of posting and you're like looking at your to-do list for the day and you're like, well, I've been posting for 3 days and no one's really liking my posts, no one's talking to me about it, so when it comes to priorities, I'm not getting anything in return from this, so I'm not going to do it. You absolutely are going to get a return from that posting. The thing is, this is not an overnight business. It's not an overnight get-rich scheme. It is something that it's a person, like a people business. So in order to do that, you have to build trust and credibility, and that takes time. So everything that you do now, you see the results of it 3 to 4 months down the road. Okay? So those posts are being watched, they are being followed. Your people just want to see if you're going to keep on doing it. They want to see if you'll be consistent or if it's just an overnight type thing. And if you fall off the face of the earth and don't talk about it anymore, they're just going to be like, oh, okay, well then I guess it wasn't real. All right? So it's super important to just keep posting. Even if you don't think anyone is watching, they totally are, okay? And I heard this great example I wanted to share with you guys. So think of it like you posting, like if you were sitting on the couch and you saw a commercial for a fantastic new deep conditioner for your hair. And you're like, oh man, her hair looks great, right? You wouldn't just jump up off your couch after you saw that commercial once and run to the store to buy the deep conditioner, right? You would just be like, oh, nice hair. The second or the third time that you see it, maybe you would actually remember the name of the deep conditioner, okay? And then a couple days later, say you have a super bad hair day when you really needed it to be a great hair day, and you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll go check out that deep conditioner next time I'm at the store. Maybe I'll just, look at it and see how much it is. So then you go to the store and it's super expensive and you're like, oh God, no, I don't need it. I don't need it that bad. I don't need it that bad. So you see the commercial a couple more times and then you run into a friend and their hair looks great and you're like, what'd you do to your hair, And they're like, well, I use this deep conditioner. It's expensive, but like, oh my God, it's totally worth it. And you're there thinking, wow, I've tried all these other alternatives that, are less money and nothing is working for me. And I've seen the commercial and now my friends are having results and there's like, money back guarantee on it. So maybe I'll just try it. What do I have to lose? I want my hair to look like that. And that is when someone will finally take the chance. That's when we would finally take the chance and say like, okay, I'm going to try this. It's the same way with your Beachbody business and with you on your social media. So this is why we have to consistently post, right? People need to hear things 7 times before it even sinks into their head, before they even remember what you're talking about, before they really hear what you're saying, right? So this is where the consistency over time kicks in. So you have to do it to build the trust and the credibility. You have to show results, right? And you have to show how you're getting there. So I wanted to talk to you today on day 1 about like the 4 things that you should keep in mind that it's going to help you be more effective whenever you post. So the first thing is the content. Whatever content you're posting needs to add value to someone's life. Okay, because it needs to be something, your Facebook wall, right, and your posts need to be something that if you were to go to it, you would learn something from it. That's how people stay engaged. That's why they want to keep coming back to your wall. That's why they follow you, right? Because the information that you put out, whether it's a recipe or a meal plan or how you stay on top of your nutrition on the weekend or how you work out whenever you travel, it's teaching them something. It's adding value to their life. If it doesn't add value and you don't take anything away from it, then they're not going to be prone to follow you, or to, at the end of the day, make sure they go to your page and scroll through and look at all of your posts, because they're taking something away from it for their life. So you want to think about like what you would want to read about. So say you were just starting out, right? Or you were just thinking about changing your life. Like, what would you want to know? What would you want to consume on the news feed, right? What would you want to see? That's what you want to post about, because you are your market, right? So you want to talk to the people who are just like you. Therefore, you know what they want to know already, because it's what you would want to know, right? Because they are you. They're your carbon copies. So for me, it would be things like, what do I put in my kids' lunches as like a healthy snack, right? Because I'm a mom, so I'm going to talk to other moms. So I know that if I saw that on somebody else's Facebook post, it would be valuable for me. I would learn something. I would take something away from it, and it would help to improve my life. And it would also create them in my mind as a credible source of information, right? So you want to do that. Make sure you always add value. Make sure that when you're doing this, you do a picture of you, right? So like inspirational quotes and stuff are great, but people are following you because they want to see you. So instead of just sharing, the picture of a quote, what about if you took a picture of yourself and then wrote the quote over top of it, right? Then you can get both of them out, or go to PicMonkey and upload a picture of yourself in there, and write the quote on the photo with you. That way you get both out. The third thing, excitement. Okay, if you post a picture of you in your Shakeology and you're like this, what, does that make you want to go and be like, tell me all about your Shakeology, right? No, right? That's boring. But if somebody had a picture of their Shako and they were like hugging it, and they were like, I love this stuff. I never ate breakfast before. I was always sluggish whenever I got into work. It was because I never ate. I had no nutrition in my body. And now I get to get up in the morning and have chocolate cake in a bottle. I could live like this for the rest of my life. Would you want to talk to them about the Shakeology? There needs to be excitement around it. Otherwise, it's boring. People don't want to engage boring, right? So when you look at your post before you put it up, just look at it and reflect and be like, would this make me want to talk to me about this? Is there excitement around this? And if not, it's very easy to convey excitement. It's exclamation points and emojis. Really. Capitalize words, capitalize power words that are exciting. That's how you can create excitement around the post. And you, with a great big smile on your face, is the way to draw them in, okay? So that's just like quick tips on content. One more thing. Do not be negative in your Facebook posts. We all have bad days, okay? That's something to talk to, your friends or your husband or, your partner about offline, not on your Facebook page. That just drains people. No one wants to go somewhere to be drained or to be drugged down, right? So if you have a bad experience, right, and it's something that you learned from, and you put a positive spin on the end of it, like the living room is destroyed, but you know what, my kids are happy and they're smiling, that is an uplifting message. But if it is just like, everything sucks and the DMV sucks, blah, 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 that doesn't make people feel inspired around you, right? And you want them to feel inspired because you want them to come to you to change their life, right? So you need to be the light in their life. And if you're just bashing things on Facebook, that's negative energy and no one wants to engage that. So just find a place offline to take it out. Just don't do it there. Timing. Okay, so we talk about the times that we post. So for my personal audience, it seems to be like around 7 in the morning, around lunchtime between 11 and 12, around 4 and 5, and then between like 8 and 10 at night. So those are my prime times. You can see your prime times like on Facebook. If you can see like who's active on your messenger, if you scroll down, it'll tell you like other friends, and then it'll have a number in parentheses there. So it'll actually show you how many of your friends are online. So I watched that for a couple of weeks actually, just to see when most of my friends were online and active, right? So then I could kind of see the peak times. Sunday night is also a peak time. It's when people finally kind of catch up from the weekend and they check in, before, to get ready for work on Monday. Sunday morning is a bad time. That's usually a family time. So on Sunday mornings, I like to post about my family, that I'm just hanging out with my family. And then in the afternoon, I like to talk about meal prep, because that's when I'm talking about, that's when I'm meal prepping myself, right? So I'm sharing my life. And then in the evening, I like to talk about a call to action to a challenge group or to a coaching webinar or a sneak peek, because that's when I have the most people who are active and online. So you just have to kind of work with your market and figure out when most people are online. And there's also a way to see it whenever you're on Facebook. So if you open your messenger on Facebook, and then down at the bottom you'll see something that says people, and it'll show you who's online, who's active, right? Active Facebook friends. And then it'll give you the number of who's online. So if you're checking in mobile, that's the way to check, so that you can kind of track and get a better idea of when people are online. So those are prime times are always between 8 and 10 p.m. So you definitely every single night want to get a post up, a value add post, call to a challenge group, a coaching sneak peek. Really, those posts that you really want engagement on should go up in prime time. And also really early in the morning. For me, 7 in the morning seems to be a time where people are checking in. I guess everyone's checking Facebook before they go to work. So you really just have to play with that and learn when your market is online, okay? And then just make sure that you're posting 3 to 5 times a day and adding value to their life. The third thing I want to talk about is the look, right? So there's so much information out there, and there are so many posts in your news feed. You have to post a photo that is eye-catching enough that somebody is going to stop scrolling and then read what you have to say. That's just the simple truth. That's just the world that we live in today, right? So if it's a dark, blurry, grainy picture, people are not going to stop scrolling. They're going to scroll right on by, right? So we'll talk about this a little bit more through the week, how to create those images, and I'll post some examples for you in the group. But you have to remember that. So seek out the light. Make sure that you don't have a blurry picture, right? If it's blurry, retake it. Do it again. Add graphics to it, right? Look at things that make you stop scrolling and then replicate them. So go to Pinterest, right? And type in recipes, and then see, as you scroll through, which ones made you stop to actually read the recipe, right? It's going to be the one that catches your eye visually, and then look at the elements that that photo has and replicate them for your own. That's how you're going to figure out what's going to make people stop scrolling, so that they can read what you have to say. So you really just want clean, crisp, bright, colorful images. That's just what stops people, shiny ball, right? And then the last thing is the language, right? So you don't want to write big, fat Facebook paragraph blobs, right? Think of it as yourself. So when you're scrolling the newsfeed or you're reading something, do you read the big fat paragraphs, or do you read the one that's broken into 2 sentences, into 8 little sections, right? It's easier for us to consume that. If you want to break it up, a great way to keep the spacing is to do a sentence or 2, and then put 3 periods, and then start 2 more sentences. That makes Facebook actually put a good gap in between each of your paragraphs, and it makes it easier for people to consume. Nobody reads a big fat word blob. It's just how our brains are. We like to be able to immediately consume content, which is why Twitter is popular, because it's super easy to read. So if you're writing in those big paragraph blobs, break them up because nobody's going to read it. They're just going to scroll on by. And don't worry about having crazy long posts. You don't have to, especially as you're a new coach. You're just building up credibility, so it's going to take a little bit of time for people to trust you to come in and read that long post. So I know you see a lot of like really long posts. Those are just kind of every now and then posts, and they're going to be when you really start to build up. So don't worry about having to, write so much all of the time. Don't let that stop you. And another thing, always keep in there like a call to action, right? Like ask your people to interact with you. Like, like this post if you can relate, right? Or ask questions like, does this happen to anyone else and how do you deal with it? That's how you create engagement with your audience. And people want to talk to you. If you're adding value to their life, they'll want to talk to you. It's going to take a couple of times for anyone to answer you too, okay? So don't let that like sidetrack you like, oh, well, I asked, once and no one answered. Well, that's normal, right? You have to call for, multiple times. It's the same situation with the hair deep conditioner. You just have to do it over and over again. The most important thing, done is always better than perfect, okay? Getting it done and putting it out there and taking action will always be better than not, okay? Don't worry about your wording being perfect. In fact, whenever I find myself saying, maybe I should say it like this, that is a huge red flag to me that I am not being authentic to myself and I'm trying to phrase things a certain way because I think that's how they're supposed to be said. And what happens when you do that is you start to become salesy, right? Because you're thinking in your mind like, well, maybe it should be said like this. All it needs to be said like is how you would say it, right? That's it. That's what's going to connect to your audience. That's how they know you. They know how you talk, right? So if you're talking differently in your Facebook posts than you do in real life, there's a disconnect and people pick up on that, right? It makes them like tense up and not really want to let you in. If you're just talking like you, being authentically yourself, that's when people will start to listen. And it just takes time, okay? So I just want you to know that. It just takes time. It takes time for all of us. Don't let it discourage you. Over time, you'll start to build a following and you'll post something, not think many people are going to be interested in it, and you'll just see likes galore, and it's just because you've built credibility over time. But it just comes down to 3 to 5 times a day, every single day, you have to be active on your social media. So I hope those first few tips were a value add for you. I hope you learned something from this. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'm going to post a couple examples for you in the group right now so you can see. All right, guys. Hope you liked it.